In 1968, filmmaker George Romero unleashed a new vision of terror upon the world with his film, Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
Night of the Living Dead created a new genre, spawning hundreds of other films, and continues to this day to be one of the most influential and most terrifying films of all time. The zombies in Night of the Living Dead weren't under mind control or victims of a voodoo curse like in previous zombie films. Night created a new set of rules for the zombie film. No one knows what causes these zombies, and their only mission is to consume human flesh. The concept of the zombie has become so ingrained and popular in our culture that it was only a matter of time before the living dead began to appear in books, comics, toys, and just about anywhere else you can imagine. In the fall of 2007, these four people decided that the dead needed to appear in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, I was bored. We had just finished planning a massive wedding and didn't have anything to do in all the long hours that I'm supposed to be working at work. So Grady and I and Jillian and Steve kind of decided to do the zombie walk.
MySpace. I mean,
We set up
word
a
of
MySpace
mouth,
page. Yeah, word of
flyers
mouth.
all over the place.
Yeah.
They're going to be all over Raleigh and Chapel Hill and Carborough.
A lot of MySpace. That's probably our biggest thing. Just friending people on MySpace, letting people know what's going on.
And Monster Creature Feature.
Monster Creature Feature is going to have us on. We're going to be on the radio next week.
And we haven't spent a dime.
And we haven't spent a dime. We've been using paper that we get surreptitiously from work, and
No, we don't.
no, we don't. Making copies, and really, so much of it's electronic. I don't think we honestly have any idea.
I was going to say about 200,000.
The entire population of Raleigh, and then some.
Yeah. Sort of double the population, really, probably. We have no idea. It's going to be
It's never
absolutely.
happened before.
It's terrifying. We have no idea. If
It
a
may just
thousand
be the
people
four of
show up,
us.
we're going to be in so much trouble.
I mean, the people that are serious about it are going to show up. Like, there's so many MySpace, like,
Yeah.
you know, friends and stuff like that. And you're like, are you really going to show up, or are you just friending the website?
Yeah, yeah. It could be mayhem. It could be absolutely terrible.
Yep.
That's sort of the point, though.
Exactly.
I mean, if it's just the four of us and you know, we all show up in zombie and lurch around acting the fool, well, we'll go out for drinks later.
There's just no precedent for this sort of thing
Yeah.
here.
Not in Raleigh.
They've been scattered all over the world, and
Yeah.
I never even heard of such a thing until she said that she was bored after having finished her wedding and everything and wanted a project, and I was like, what's a zombie walk?
A zombie walk is an organized public gathering of people dressed in zombie costume, usually taking place in an urban area. The participants lurch their way around the city streets in a predetermined route, causing the sort of mayhem and fright that you might expect.
I mean, zombie movies, like the Romero movies and all that stuff, it's so awesome. I don't know. Do you like...
I
it's my
prefer
favorite
them.
kind, yeah.
I feel like a lot of the slasher type movies aren't gonna really have any sort of following 50 years down the
Yeah.
road, but we're still watching zombie B movies. I think the audience is probably just as large, if not larger, for them now than
Yeah.
it was then. But I don't really feel like The Ring is gonna be, have a cult following
Yeah.
in 2050.
I would agree with that. A lot of the old movies, just there's something about the slasher thing that's more of a fad to me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the whole, you're talking about the B movies, black and white and all that, there's a survival horror thing that goes on in the
Yeah.
film that makes you, it's the same thing like like you're talking about Romero movies, it's like everyone's stuck together, somebody's got to figure out what to do, and it's like that in a lot of movies, how to get away from them, not how they're going to hurt everybody.
Yeah.
And
That's
the-
what it's supposed to
And
be.
the game that we play sometimes...
Oh dear God.
we do this game where we're sitting in a bar or out on a porch at a work party or wherever, and we go, zombie attack, and then you have to talk about how if everybody was turned into a zombie around you, what would you do?
Oh, dear God.
And so that's part of what, it's cool to talk about. It's not like, and they're not sexy like vampires, and they aren't, they're not like dual nature like werewolves. It's a completely different issue. It's about the lizard brain in everybody, like a single-minded goal. Like those zombies, all they want is to kill you. Like they don't have any other reason to exist. All they want is brains. And, it's terrifying, but it's also, I think it's really visceral. Like the actual philosophy of zombie movies is more interesting to me than like, ooh, some sexy guy in a dark cape and fangs is gonna leer at me, Who cares? And or like the slasher movies. Another thing about slasher movies is even like Scream, what they killed maybe 20 people in that movie, something like that. But it wasn't like those killers were gonna actually do anything major. Zombie movies, there's a real risk of the entire world being destroyed. And that's really scary. And usually those movies concentrate on a small group of people, which is why it's fun to think about, okay, how could I barricade my house against zombies? It's a small group of people. It's not dealing with the major world issues. It's like how do 5 people survive against the brain-eating dead?
And we are not in any way promoting the Resident Evil movies.
No.